To be perfectly honest, I never thought that this was treated as an actual archetype, but it actually is, so it shall be reviewed as such. Anyway, this is the Demise and Ruin archetype, used very briefly in GX Season 3 by the skilled white and skilled dark magicians. Yeah, they only used it for a grand total of 1 turn in a duel, which wasn't even shown to its fullest, so... Yeah, anyway, yeah, this archetype was alright, really alright for the time of its release, since this is the period of the Yu-Gi-Oh's history where rituals were still the most horrible monster type in the game. Well, they still are to an extent outside of dedicated archetypes, which are meta relevant. So yeah, let's see exactly what's going on and start the review. The archetype is based around the ritual spell card End of the World, which can special summon 2 very specific ritual monsters by tributing monsters whose levels exactly equal the levels of the monsters you're summoning, which in this case is 8. First of which is Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, which if she destroys an opponent's monster by battle, she can attack once again in a row, which is pretty alright and okay, the effect powerful for the time, but the real power lied in Demise, King of Armageddon, which can also only be special summoned with the End of the World, and you can pay 2000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field. And this, funnily enough, isn't once per turn, so yeah, you could use this effect as many times as you wanted if your opponent for some reason had the abilities to recover some of their monsters or basically special summon more of them from the deck in order to protect himself. So yeah, you can be this basically meant you can swing for game and turn you summon this, since the options for turboing this thing out were not very plentiful back in the day. Soon enough, the archetype got a new support card, that being the quick play spell Turning of the World, which allows you to special summon Ruin or Demise from your hand or deck this time around. But you must also tribute ritual monsters. You must specifically tribute ritual monsters in order to do so. However, another plus is added to the point that you do not have to tribute ritual monsters whose level equal exactly 8. You can also exceed the levels. So yeah, but in this day and age, you're probably going to be using the incantation engine in order to bring them out, because they got some other retrains as of late, which actually equal level 10. And as we all know, incantations usually you usually can use incantations whose level equal exactly 10, since the best set of incantations are level 5s, a pair of level 5s, so yeah. Then we have another ritual spell that they got, their second and last ritual spell, that being Cycle of the World. It is used to summon the Ruin and Demise, just like the regular ones. You must also tribute monsters from your field, or from your field specifically, whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster. So you've got yourself a bit of breathing point there. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle it into the deck and add 1 End of the World from your deck to your hand. Then you can add 1 Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, or Demise, the King of Armageddon, from your graveyard to your hand. This usually meant that you can use 1 ritual monster as material in order to summon another one, and this basically utilizes a recycling effect to basically set up your plays for another day, since it adds the End of the World vanilla ritual spell from your deck to your hand, and it basically recycles the exact materials you use to summon a monster. You're probably going to be fetching back Ruin most of the time, since Demise is a better option in my opinion. However, the retrains are kind of on the same scale, so yeah. First of which we have the de-evolution kind of retrains. First of which is Ruin's retrain, that being Ruin, Angel of Oblivion, which is a level 4 ritual monster with 1700 attack and 1000 defense. And you can only summon this with Cycle of the World. This card's name becomes Ruin, the Queen of Oblivion, while it is in the hand or on the field. If this card is ritual summoned, it can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a ritual monster you control while it is face up on your field. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when your ritual monsters declare an attack. So basically, this incentivizes a sort of Cyber Angel-esque additional effects, whereas if you tribute this thing, or if it is sent to the graveyard by any other means, you can basically apply this effect on any other ritual monster you might have on the moment. It does not have to be a Ruin or the Demise ritual monster. You can use it on Necros, God forbid, and basically turn them into Armada-styled beaters. And yeah, basically Ruin gives an effect which basically gives Demise all the benefits he didn't have that Ruin had, and Demise's retrain, when we get to it, was designed to give Ruin some buffs which Ruin herself did not have. So yeah, then we have, let's get to the Demise retrain, that being Demise Agent of Armageddon, which is level 4 with 100 more attack than the Ruin retrain. Also can only be ritual summoned with Cycle of the World. This card's name becomes Demise, the King of Armageddon, like Ruin, and does as well, and while in the hand or field. And if this card is ritual summoned, you can destroy 1 face-up monster on the field, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 ritual monster you control while it is face-up on the field. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your ritual monster's effects. So basically, if you use both of these to summon, or multiple copies of these in order to summon some of the higher monsters, you can basically reinforce the ritual monsters to hit even harder and be protected even better. But it is appreciated and the option is there if you want to take it, but most of the time the ritual builds in this day and age rely on the incantation engine in order to basically make most of their plays, and also Manju and Senju's. Senju's and Manju's not that much, but the incantations are way more recommended at that. So yeah, you're most likely not going to be getting these effects. So yeah, but the option is still, like I said, there if you want to take it. So I would advise running them every now and then. Alright, now let's go on to their ultimate forms, that being, first of which we have Ruin Supreme Queen of Oblivion, which is a level 10 monster with 2900 attack and 3000 defense. And you can ritual summon it also with the Cycle of the World only. And this card's name becomes Ruin Queen of Oblivion while in the hand or the field. And while this card is while this ritual summon card is on the field, ritual monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. If all monsters used to ritual summon this card are ritual monsters, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. Basically, if you use ritual monsters, which we've talked about earlier, as material, you get some additional nice protection and buff effects, and you get to have this thing be a double attacker during each battle phase. But I still think that the original Ruin had something nice going for it, because as long as she kept destroying monsters, she can keep attacking over and over and over again, and basically get rid of the entire board. So it was basically kind of like an archetypal Asura priest in that. This is great, but don't get me wrong, but it can be dead on occasion, so yeah. And not to mention that the added bonus is the Flame Wingman burn effect, so yeah, you can buff this thing with several equips, or basically other attack boosting cards in order to make this thing into an even bigger beat stick in order to burn the opponent for more damage. But let's go on to the final monster of the archetype, their final boss monster. Yes, the archetype consists of nothing of ritual monsters, but unlike a certain ritual archetype that starts with Cyber and ends with Angel, it's not garbage. That being, of course, Demise Supreme King of Armageddon. Another level 10 with 3000 attack and defense, and You can ritual summon this card also with Cycle of the World. Has the name changing effect. When this ritual summon card is on the field, your ritual monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, and if all monsters used to ritual summon this card were ritual monsters, you do not pay life points to activate card effects, to activate the ritual summon monsters card effects. And once per turn you can pay with 2000 life points, destroy as many other cards on the field as possible, and if you do, inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each destroyed card they controlled. So essentially it's kind of like a different flavor of Odd Eye's Raging Dragon, as in Odd Eye's Raging Dragon had the effect to attack twice while gaining 200 attack for each card he destroyed with his effect. This guy burns for 200 for each card he destroys while not getting the ability to attack twice. Both of these effects are really, really nice in hindsight, and yeah, it's the ritual build revolving around this thing is supremely easy to build. So yeah, I'd say run wild and go for it. Alright, we have only 2 more cards of this archetype to look at, first of which is their field spell, Breaking the World. Once per turn you can target a ritual monster you control, show 1 ritual monster in your hand until the end of this turn. The level of the shown ritual monster becomes the targeted monster's level until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. Once per turn, if Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, or Demise, the King of Armageddon, is ritual summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can activate one of these effects. You can either draw 1 card or destroy 1 card on the field. If you're summoning Demise, the second effect might not be very applicable, but this can actually do wonders if you're summoning Ruin, and you can basically give the second effect a bit more punching power. But the first effect is most likely going to be triggered most of the time, since going plus off summoning ritual monsters is really nice. But however, it is locked to a soft once per turn, so you might have to basically bounce back your field spell or find ways to reuse its effect with some other cards that copy effects, or basically go through multiple copies of this thing in order to keep drawing into it if you're in the swarming nature of things. The first effect is made to basically turn the little ritual monsters into level 8, so you can use End of the World to summon the monsters, or Cycle of the World to summon the bigger monsters with less sacrifices. But again, you're mostly going to be summoning them with an incantation engine, so it is admirable, but it is ultimately unnecessary in the longer scheme of things. So yeah. And their last card is the Continuous Trap, Renewal of the World. When this card is activated, banish 1 ritual monster from your deck, and you can send this card to the graveyard to activate one of these effects. You can either tribute 1 monster from your hand or field, and or shuffle 1 ritual monster from your graveyard into the deck whose levels equal to or exceed the level of the monster banished by this effect. Then ritual summon that monster, or you can add the monster banished by this card's effect to the hand. You can only use 1 renewal of the world per turn, and you can only use 1 of the effects per turn, and only once that turn. It's fine, but it's not as impactful as you might think. It's basically a way slower version of the Machine Absolute Angel Ritual. Good God, I can't believe I'm comparing this to the Machine Absolute Ritual. I mean, both of the cards suck, and to an extent, this is more useful than the Machine Absolute Ritual. But Machine Absolute Ritual has the benefit of being a spell card, which is actually searchable, while this is an unsearchable Continuous Trap, which is most likely going to clog up your hand, or will be basically dead until you have the proper means to activate it and fully exploit its effect. So yeah. Now it's time for a grading scale. In terms of consistency, I already mentioned incantations way more times than I usually did on this part of the channel, so that should come as a no surprise that the incantation engine can really spice things up and kick off your ritual plays in the best sort of way, because the internal archetypal consistency is not very good. The only source of it is the feel spell, and it's even locked to a once per turn. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a 2 out of 3 just because the incantation engine exists. In terms of power, it's a clear 3 out of 3 because the archetype is full of huge beat sticks with various powerful disabling effects uh, and different types of force to deal force they can force the opponent to deal with. So yeah, Demise can basically wreck shit up. Ruin can attack multiple times per turn. So yeah, there's a certain variety to approach playing this deck. Comeback ability is a complete 1 out of 3 because as soon as you lock out of the your opponent locks you out of ritual summoning or basically does something else like a dimension barrier or something like that, you're pretty much free for the picking, and there's pretty much no ways to get yourself back into the game if you're hit harder like that. Protection only exists in form of using the small ritual monsters as material for the bigger one, and that's the only source of protection they have, and it's not much, so I'm gonna give them a 1 out of 3 there. However, I'm gonna be generous in the versatility department and give them a 2 out of 3, just because how good these two were before their added support came to be. So yeah, these two can certainly kick ass in their own way in this day and age. But as of now, I think it's one short or a bit of a bigger support wave from becoming a very competitive and very dangerous ritual-centric build, and I'll greet it with open arms because I I certainly want to see how this archetype can actually evolve due to the fact how random and out of place was back in the day, and how it was actually pretty great for the time when rituals were basically considered a very weak addition to the game, and they still are out of the dedicated archetypes. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is a quick archetype analysis I decided to do after I found out that these are actually treated as an archetype. I said that I'll be doing another archetype analysis with code breakers. All cards in the Eternity Code have been revealed, and yeah, the code breakers are still missing two of their anime cards from, well, the anime to be imported into the real game. However, I'm not sure if they will actually be released in the next booster pack that is to follow the Eternity Code. I think the booster's name is Rise of the Duelist or something like that. I'm really not sure, and I'm having like debates with myself. Should I review Code Breakers now or wait for these two cards? Then again, if those two support cards are not released in the next booster pack or anything, if they remain an anime exclusive, it does not change the Codebreaker playstyle that much. But hey, Archetype rematch is here, so I can even review them there. But I have another Archetype analysis which I also compiled a few days ago, which consists of which was actually one of those archetypes that I missed in my research for in my research for what is eligible for the show or not. Stay tuned until then, and I'll see you guys in the next archetype analysis. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more results and updates. Comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next vid whenever I can. See you all. Have a good day and peace.